Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got to meet the most underrated NFL player ever. Let's check this out.
Mike Evans. And that's
Mike Evans
somebody
for sure, bro.
Man amongst
like
boys.
How can he be so underrated in like every season of his career? You know what I'm saying? He's been over 1,000 yards. One reason I think it's because the lack of, you know what I'm saying, good QB play, and the fact that the Bucks have never really been a top tier team until like Tom Brady came in and they you know what I'm saying, won a Super Bowl and shit. I feel like that's the only reason why he's so underrated.
And like really 6'5" with that frame, like he was always what he was.
I mean, you have guys who are lucky to touch
Mr. Consistent
2-3 times in their career, and I don't believe he's had a year where he hasn't touched it.
Like Mike is probably one of the more underrated receivers in the league, and that's crazy for a guy that has 1,000 yards every single year in his career.
Facts.
There are many great wide receivers in the NFL, but in some cases, greatness can be overshadowed by more prominent, flashy names. Today, as we dive into the story of Mike Evans, a player whose consistency and prowess have silently fueled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the last decade, and despite improvement to some other teams in that division, the Buccaneers seem poised for another division title run, thanks in no small part to Evans. And in today's video, we're going to uncover why Mike Evans is the most underrated quarterback elevator of his generation, and why it's time the NFL world gives him the recognition he deserves.
Facts.
Mike Evans will be in the
easily a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Like, argue with the wall, bro.
Now, I've been looking to find the best deals on
W promo.
So look better, I'll root for you $. To again. In the worst division in football, which the NFC South is just terrible in my opinion, they actually have a great chance to make.
I mean, it's definitely between the Falcons and Bucks of who's going to win that division.
This, in my opinion, is because of Mike Evans. Going into this offseason, the Bucks' top priorities were to bring back Baker Mayfield, who showed Tampa Bay everything they needed to see on his one-year prove-it deal, and to bring back his top-level target. And they did it at a perfect time too, because the QB market and the wide receiver market is really inflated now. So they did those deals at the perfect time. But they probably would have been free agents if they, you know what I'm saying, waited either. So and then I saw a clip where Mike Evans said that if the Bucks didn't resign him, he would have went to either the Texans or the Chiefs. That would have been scary, not gonna lie. Mahomes and Mike Evans. As a Buccaneer, and all for a combined $141 million. Like, investing this much money into just the core of their offense just signifies and shows how much this team is going all in to try to win this division again this year. Like last offseason, it'd be hard to imagine that Mayfield would be signing such a large contract with Tampa Bay after his career.
All Baker really needed was a good organization, because the Browns and Panthers were far from that.
Baker finally found his footing in 2023 and posted career best stats across the board, breaking 4,000 yards passing for the first time in a personal best 29 touchdowns. And like, this is just another great example of Mike Evans elevating his quarterback. And I mean, honestly, it's something that he's done for the entirety of his NFL career. As a rookie in 2014, Evans went for over 1,000 yards, finishing third in offensive rookie of the year voting, even with atrocious quarterback play from a 35-year-old Josh McCown and a young Mike Glennon.
Yo, he had Mike Glennon and Josh McCown throwing him the ball his rookie year and still eclipsed 1,000 yards. That shit is crazy, bro.
But Evans was already blooming into a young star. The next 5 years were more of the same.
Choke slamming niggas on the football field is crazy.
All the while, Mike Evans logged seasons of 1,100, 1,200, and even 1,500 receiving yards. Now, of course, that narrative was flipped on its head when Tom Brady joined the Bucks in 2020 en route to a Lombardi Trophy. And even through those years, though, Evans remained. He
deserved that Super Bowl ring, bro.
18 touchdowns in 2021 and 2 more 1,000-yard seasons. Now, as it stands in the post-Brady era, Mike Evans has brought in 1,000 receiving yards in all 10 seasons of his career. His 11,680 career yards are good enough for 30th all time.
It's crazy how Hopkins has over 1,000 more yards than him. I think most of those yards probably came in Houston.
Great receivers of the 2010s. You always hear the names like Antonio Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, or even Julio Jones.
Yeah.
And I mean, while yes, all of those guys in their own are Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers, Mike Evans deserves to be in those conversations.
Facts.
Mike Evans a Hall of Famer?
Mike Evans, his impact is still ongoing. Like,
if you say that Mike Evans is not a future Hall of Famer, you're just D1 hating at that point, bro.
Form with good quarterbacks, with great quarterbacks, and we've also seen Mike Evans perform with quarterbacks. And yet,
He's the constant.
he's still performing at a high level.
Megatron, Julio, and AB certainly had higher peaks when in their prime, but all of their careers devolved into injury-riddled seasons, or in Brown's case, off-the-field issues.
CTE.
And now I know it's not really fair to ask like what if questions, but for real, what if we actually thought about it this way and Mike Evans actually was able to catch passes from a competent quarterback throughout his entire career?
Shit, he would have definitely been, you know what I'm saying? People would have stopped underrating him then, bro. If he had someone like with Tom Brady throwing him the ball his whole career, or Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson per se, you know?
For AB's situation, or even Matt Ryan and Julio Jones's case. Like, what could that have been for Mike Evans if he had one of those quarterbacks? Like, to think that Evans is about to surpass Brown in all-time yards in the same amount of years played despite his poor quarterback play is incredible. Not
Tells
to
you a
mention,
lot.
Mike Evans is also one of the greatest red zone threats in NFL history and is already 10th all-time in
Him and Adams about to
If he's able
crack that
join the
100 touchdown mark.
club this season, which I'm sure he will have joined rarefied air. With
Damn, it's crazy. They're the only current modern day receivers that are on this
Still
list.
the only one not currently in the Hall of Fame. And one comparison that illustrates Evans' underratedness is when
What?
his career stats are shown against Davante Adams,
Okay.
another great receiver who emerged from the 2014 draft class. From 2020 to 2022, Adams was considered the best wide receiver in football. And
Right.
was selected as the first team
Before he got
All-Pro
traded to the
nomination
Raiders.
for 3 consecutive seasons. In his best yardage season over that span, Adams recorded 1,563 yards and 11 touchdowns. But in Mike Evans' 1,500-yard season, he wasn't even selected as a second-team All-Pro. Additionally,
fuck?
despite having career yardage and almost the exact same amount of touchdowns while playing with terrible quarterbacks 4 years, Adams is largely considered the better player for some reason. NFL executives,
And that some reasons because Davante Adams had Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball, and he was on the Packers, bro. So you know, Mike Evans never really had a good quarterback throwing him the ball other than Tom Brady and now Baker Mayfield. Davante Adams always had Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. That's probably why, you know, Davante Adams gets more recognition than Mike Evans.
though, and in a poll by Jeremy Fowler about the upcoming
Can't tell me I'm not
seasons,
speaking
they
facts
ranked
right now.
Mike Evans as the 8th best wideout in football, with Adams listed at number 5. In the article, Adams is given the excuse in production drop-off that he has played for 5 different starting quarterbacks with Las Vegas, but Evans dominated throughout rough quarterback play.
Bro, what? The drop to number 5 isn't all his fault. Bro, shut that shit up, bro. This nigga, bro, Davante Adams has played with Derek Carr and Aiden O'Connell since he's been in Las Vegas. This nigga had to play with, Mike Glennon and Josh McCown? Jameis Winston, too? Like, come on now.
And I think the real
Like,
reason
Davante Adams
Evans
has
just
had
kind of
far better
a
quarterback
statistical
play.
marvel at this point is not because of his
Hey, like, niggas is just
excuses,
dick
but his
eating.
consistency. Like, just his pure ability to stay on the field is what has helped him reach these numbers and these accolades. Like, I mean, Mike Evans is one of the modern day Iron Men of the NFL. Missing
Facts.
just 8 games in his 154 game career. This
Wow.
ability has allowed him to rack up accolades as well as a 2-time All-Pro in a
And I'm pretty sure all 8 of those games were not due to injury.
just pretty much Mike Evans is heavily and just so damn underrated, and for a damn fact has a very strong case of making the Hall of Fame. Like, the 3 main things
100%.
they look at for evaluating a candidate for the Hall are a period of dominance, longevity, and team success. Evans has those bases covered. His 2 All-Pro selections in his 1,500 receiving yard season are clear evidence that he
And
was
he's
one of
got
the
that
most
ring.
dominant
That's all he
receivers.
was missing was that Super Bowl ring. That was the last piece of the puzzle, bro. And now that he got that, you know what I'm saying, a couple years ago, he's straight.
For themselves, and
But he trying to get another one.
For a struggling franchise, he has a Super Bowl ring. It's impossible to project how long Mike Evans will continue to play in the NFL at all.
Shit, honestly, if he can stay healthy, I think he's got at least like 3 more seasons left in him, bro. 2 or 3 more seasons he's got.
But if
You know,
were to post just a few
because health has never really been a problem for him, so he can definitely, you know, go some more years.
Top top 5 in touchdowns, cementing him as one of the greatest wideouts to ever take the field. The question is though, is that doable? And sadly, the short answer is maybe. What we do know is that Baker Mayfield is going to force feed him the ball. Evans' 136 targets in 2023 were the most he's had since his 1,500-yard season in 2018. If their rapport continues to develop in 2024, Evans could actually have a statistically better year, especially with Baker behind an improved
Heard that
offensive
Baker's
line.
been
Now,
like
he
up
is
and
only
down in
31 this
training camp
season,
so
but the
far.
new contract means that Evans is still motivated to play,
And
that the
him in that
Tampa Bay
offense.
staff thinks he can play at a
But
high
mostly
level.
good,
And honestly,
though.
Mike Evans' style of play really suits an older receiver. He has the technical route running and a long stride that allows him to accelerate quickly, but he really wins
God
with his
damn,
physical
bro.
6'3"
Marshall
frame and
Lattimore tried to
lanky
take his
wingspan. And yes, while he
damn
may lose a step as he
jersey off in this
continues to age,
motherfucker.
he will never lose his ability to bully opposing corners at the catch point. Plus, Baker's gunslinging mentality is a perfect fit for Evans' playstyle. He really can just throw it up and let him make a play. His consistent playstyle is a big part of the reason why
Fantasy
Evans
dominance.
is such an underrated fantasy player as well. Evans was the wide receiver 7 in PPR fantasy last season and the wide receiver 5 in half PPR leagues. He's consistently been a top 10 fantasy wideout for his entire
He
career.
had 13
in the NFL.
tutties last
Although
year.
Fantasy aficionados are fading him recently, he will likely still be a higher scorer on a week-to-week basis in 2024. Last season, he averaged 16.6 fantasy points per game and didn't miss a single outing. And look, I mean, semantics, fantasy, and just Hall of Fame all aside, Mike Evans and the Buccaneers could be legitimate contenders, at least for the division. I don't know about the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
pretty
I mean
low,
that
but
you know what I'm saying.
I'd say
They got a little bit more to do,
the
bro,
worst Achilles
for them
tear
to be a
Kirk
Super Bowl
Cousins, Falcons,
contender.
and Derek Carr Saints are the only teams standing.
That small ass jersey.
Another home playoff game
What the
in
fuck?
2023. Tampa Bay has the 5th easiest schedule in 2024. With
Fifth easiest? Let's see. Let's see this schedule real quick. I mean, they could beat the Commanders. I'm expecting the Lions to win this one. I'm expecting them to beat Denver. Shit, they did blow out the Eagles in the playoffs, but you know that Eagles team did get a lot better in the offseason, so I might have to give the edge to the Eagles. This is a division game, so I can't really, you know what I'm saying, speak too much on this. It's kind of 50-50 because both teams are low-key even. I probably would give the edge to the Falcons just a little bit. The Saints, I'm expecting them to beat the Saints. We played them this year? Oh, yeah, I expect us to win that game. I expect them to beat the Falcons at least once. I'm expecting them to lose to the Chiefs, obviously, and the Niners. I'm expecting them to beat the Giants, Panthers, Raiders. Shit, they could honestly win out realistically. They could realistically win out. Like, after their bye week, they could realistically win out and make the playoffs.
Of 138 wins and 151 losses. Their road to the bye week is pretty difficult with games against the Lions, Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, and 49ers. From weeks 12 to 18, however, they have an absolute cakewalk, playing the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers again, and just the Saints, who I expect to be one of the worst teams to close out the season. And like, I mean, look,
That means a lot coming from a
somehow
Saints fan,
managed
bro.
to stay
That,
within 500
like,
before their bye week.
he knows how
Especially if they
bad
get
his
a
team
win
is.
Or two off of the Falcons in that run too, they're going to be in great position to go and win the division again. And in an offseason about continuity for the Bucs, one of the biggest factors they will have to overcome is the loss of Dave Canales. Canales was the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay in 2023 and helped to revamp the offense that wasn't very efficient in Tom Brady's last year. Of course, as we all know, he was very successful, almost having a renaissance for Baker Mayfield and just completely revitalizing his career. But
Facts.
in doing so, he also earned himself a head coaching role, which he took with the Panthers. So I mean, it's safe to say that his departure should be felt this year, but hopefully not too much for the Bucs. Hopefully the new OC, Liam Cohen, who was a former offensive coordinator for
why does he look like Josh Rosen?
will be able to sustain the offensive success from last year. As a disciple from the McVay tree, Cohen will implement the West Coast offense.
How many fucking niggas are they gonna pump out from the McVay tree, the Kyle Shanahan tree, the Matt LaFleur tree? Like, bro, damn.
Which uses condensed formations and pre-snap motion to disguise plays and confuse opposing defenses.
Okay.
In the past, Mike Evans has been put on an island on the outside, simply forced to win against double teams and attract defensive attention to benefit other players on the offense. And with the scheme now doing more of the heavy lifting, potentially even more manufactured targets for Evans, he could be in for a absolute monster year. And now it just comes down to the fact of it's just a matter of whether or not Mayfield and the offense can adapt to the playbook, which is something he has a lot of experience doing. In his 7
Yeah, we saw that with the Rams.
offensive coordinators, which means
Now one game, that Thursday night primetime game.
This time Mayfield actually has a leg up because during his short time with the Rams in the 2022 season, he already got to learn the offense with Sean McVay as the play caller under Liam Cohen as the coordinator. During that time with the Rams after a midseason trade, Baker went 2-3 but had the clutch Thursday night win.
Yeah, that shit was unreal.
51-point drubbing.
That showed how good Baker is actually, that the Browns and Panthers were really holding him back.
Should be able to get comfortable faster than with typical offensive coordinator change. Even though Mayfield and Evans experienced individual success in 2023 and ultimately won their division, the offense as a whole could stand to improve. The Bucs were only 21st in total scoring and 20th in the league in total yardage, which isn't terrible, but it's not great. If the Bucs move the ball more efficiently next season, it only means more touchdown opportunities for Evan, who already led the league with 13 in 2023. So I mean, yeah, it's safe to say that
13 for number 13
for a big year this year. But I mean, it's also safe to say that even if he wasn't able to play another down in the NFL, he probably would go down as one of the greatest players to ever play that position, while also being one of the most underrated at that position. Like,
facts.
Mike Evans has been criminally underrated, and regardless of what happens for the remainder of his career, it's about damn time the NFL and fans around and executives finally acknowledge how good Evans truly is. If he goes for just one more 1,000-yard season, he'll tie Jerry Rice's all-time record with 11 consecutive seasons hitting that mark. Like,
that's great company, bro.
Rice's records, that's
great company for him to be at.
Truly special. Even that, and that could cement himself as a top 5 wide receiver of all time. But
and he's a dad too.
Mike Evans ranks on this all-time leader list, and just how good do you think Mike Evans really is? For me, truly, I'm a Saints fan, so I've had to deal with this dude my entire career of, just being a Saints fan. And I mean, that dude is just a monster. He is just so hard to defend when you watch these games, and he's
like that mixture of size and speed is just completely unguardable, bro.
At least once. But
and he's got good route running too.
Honestly, for me,
it's triple threat
is just terrible this year. It's either gonna be the Falcons or the Bucs that win. I'm a Saints fan. I think the Saints are one of the worst teams in the NFL, but I could also be speaking out of my what. So
side of his ass.
Below, if you have not also make sure you join our Discord. That's where we're doing all our fantasy leagues, all our NCAA dynasties, and all things football this year. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.
Hey man, what do you guys think? Is Mike Evans a future Hall of Famer? Or is he not? Y'all let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on post notification, notify whenever I drop another banger video. One road to 400 subs. Help me get it for more banger NFL reactions like this. So without further ado, I'm out. Gang!